talk about the different layers of the software stack, like you just mentioned. In terms of opportunities, one that we're starting to see a lot moving to the cloud is databases, right? We've traditionally gotten used to these on-site relational databases, highly proprietary, code was all within the company. You saw companies like Oracle kind of own this space for the last 40 years. But we're starting to see new forms of databases that are cloud-based. Could you talk a little bit about this one, Matthew?
It's funny you mentioned Oracle. They're just starting to catch up. They had some big news this week where Zoom has picked Oracle to provide some of their cloud services. So Oracle is finally catching up with cloud services. But really, AWS and Microsoft and Google are really the top 3 cloud platforms. The SaaS tooling that I'm referring to, there's a lot of different focuses for that SaaS tooling. And so what you're talking about are for software application companies, there's a lot of tooling out there for how to manage their development process, how to host their services, and how to store their data. And so that is one wave of this, as opposed to some of the other ones I was talking about before, which is more enterprise services, HR, Salesforce, marketing side of things. So with developer tooling, you've got a lot of really interesting ones. Twilio is doing communications. MongoDB is doing NoSQL databases. And so they can, if you're going to host your own infrastructure with Mongo, they can help provide enterprise support for self-managed instances of their database. And it's an open source database. But in addition to that, you can, they've got a SaaS service where you can buy managed database clusters in the cloud provider of your choice, so in AWS or Azure or Google, and they'll run everything for you. And so that really offloads a lot of the IT spend and maintenance that's required to maintain these things. And you can just hand this to your developers and they can be off and running and be creating, profitable services immediately. And Elastic is another one. So for the MongoDB is the leader in NoSQL. I'd say Elastic is the leader in search. They too have enterprise support if you want to manage your infrastructure yourself or your cluster, but also provide Elastic Cloud, and even a third option where you can drop Elastic Cloud. It's called Elastic Cloud Enterprise, right on your own Kubernetes cluster and be your own SaaS provider for your team. You could be spinning up clusters as needed. So really interesting tangent with those companies are taking. They've made an open source package to store your data and perform some kind of critical operations on it. For MongoDB and NoSQL, you can just store anything in it. For Elasticsearch, it's more about search. So they're a search engine and you can be throwing content in and providing search interfaces over it, as well as their bread and butter, which is observability and monitoring. You can throw all your metrics in it and have vision into your infrastructure as well.
Let's double click on Elastic in a minute, but first let's touch a little bit more on Mongo. I'd like to look at the bigger trend going on and why it's going on right now. You said developers a lot of times in open source. Is this the reason why we're starting to see these new types of databases, these general purpose document databases that have been downloaded tens of millions of times, because you're starting to see so many more software applications and developers out there that want something that's easier to use than the traditional databases?
Yes, so the trend is it's the app economy. And so, there's apps for everything at this point, and you've got to store the data and perform operations on that data. And so MongoDB in particular is really trying to focus on all aspects of that. And so they've got their traditional MongoDB deployed NoSQL database engine. They've got their hosted version called Atlas. They've got, done some acquisitions in this space and have purchased a company that has a mobile version of a database. So this would be a version of the database that lives directly on your mobile device, a tablet or iPhone or iPad, and then can sync to a master database hosted elsewhere. And so there's a lot of combinations of how you as a developer can approach how to store your data and use your data. And Mongo is really addressing all of those. And then beyond that, they have also spun up some more enterprise-facing SaaS services. They're going to start providing what they call Atlas Data Lake, I think they're directly competing with Amazon there. It's very similar, akin to S3 and the Athena service in Amazon, which allows you to search over S3 in a database-like format. So their data lake is something that they want to throw everything, they want you to throw all your data into this data lake and provide search capabilities over it. So a very interesting approach, and really three-pronged for MongoDBs. They've got their enterprise support and supporting their core database. They've got hosted, managed instances that they can provide as a SaaS service. And then now they've got enterprise-facing, not developer-facing, SaaS services for search needs in the enterprise. And then Elastic's doing a very, very similar path.